Packing light for a trip that covers multiple climates can be daunting. If you're not careful, it's easy to overpack, have to pay to check your bag, or forget crucial gear that you need to stay warm. Trust me, my wife and I once traveled for 6 straight months with nothing but carry-on bags, and we had to pack in such a way that we could handle freezing temps in Europe one day and then blazing hot Southeast Asia only days later. So in this video, I want to share 7 simple real-world tips to help you continue to pack light while navigating multiple temperatures and climates. And although we talk a lot about luggage on this channel, these tips are going to work with any type of bag: backpack, suitcase, duffel, you name it. So let's dive in. So it may sound obvious, but as you're planning what to pack, please check the weather. And I would check it multiple times throughout the process. Google something like typical weather in Austria in October at the beginning of your planning process to get a feel for averages and generalities. You're going to do this for every destination on your itinerary, and then basically you're assessing what's going to be the lowest low and the highest high. And then as your trip is approaching, make sure you take a look at the actual weather in the places that you'll be visiting first to confirm the actual temps and precipitation. If it's a super long trip, obviously this is only going to help you for the first week or so, but in our case, we left for 6 months of full-time travel, completely unprepared for torrential downpours in Croatia for about the first 10 days of our trip. Man, I did not have the right kind of jacket with me, and that was a total rookie mistake. When it comes to clothing, one of the best ways to travel carry-on only, especially during the fall and winter, is opting for lightweight, versatile items that can be layered and used in a variety of situations and temperatures, right? So rather than packing big, bulky stuff like sweaters and hoodies, pack lighter weight alternatives that might work in a milder climate, but then layer up when it's colder. No, I don't mean layering your t-shirts like we did in the 90s and 2000s, and I don't mean don't pack warm things, but find those linchpin pieces that work in a variety of situations and bring 1 or 2 of them. A few examples. I always pack a lightweight pullover or a light fleece zip that could work well as an outer layer in many situations, but also perfectly well as a middle layer in colder situations. Another great example for guys is bringing a button down that would work well as a shirt to wear to dinner or as a shacket, if you will, for cooler fall temps. For ladies, you might opt to bring a lightweight cardigan or a sweater that you can layer between tops and a jacket if needed. So when it comes to packing carry-on only, versatility in your daily wear clothing pieces is very important. Equally important is fabric type. Here's a few winners, in my opinion. Synthetic fabrics like polyester and nylon are great for travel because they're durable, they're quick drying, and they're generally lightweight. And this is why you commonly see a lot of activewear made with these materials. Natural and synthetic blends, like a cotton poly t-shirt, is kind of a blend of comfort and function. You got materials like Tencel, which is made from wood cellulose that's soft and wrinkle resistant. Bamboo, which is antibacterial and offers UV protection. And then you've got merino wool. Merino is my personal favorite because the nature of the fabric itself makes it very versatile. When we packed for our 6-month trip, for example, I had a total of 6 daily wear shirts, if you will, and 2 of them, not all of them, 2 of them were merino wool. What's very nice about merino is you can re-wear it if you choose to because it's naturally antibacterial and odor resistant. And I'll tell you right now, merino isn't the cheapest material, but for those reasons, you could argue that those 2 shirts I packed were the equivalent of like 4 or even 6 shirts in terms of their usefulness and how many days you could theoretically get out of them if you choose to rewear. I like merino as a base layer because it's warm in cool temps, but it also has a cooling effect in warm temps, so it's a good multi-climate type of garment. So there's a lot of options out there on where you could get merino wool clothing, but my preferred source is Unbound Merino, who I've asked to sponsor today's video because it's such a relevant tie-in. Unbound Merino makes the exact shirts that I took with me on our 6-month sabbatical way before we made content like this, and honestly, I personally like these shirts so much that I pretty much wear them every day, even when I'm just sitting here at home. I've got a discount code, so if you want to get 10% off your order, check the link in the description box below this video. And big thanks to our friends at Unbound Merino for sponsoring this channel. So now I want to mention a couple more materials, but within the context of outerwear specifically. With outerwear, you've got a couple of important things to keep in mind. One is the weather. It's having the right type of jacket for the elements that you'll be in: cold, wind, and rain. And the other is doing all that without bulk. I've got good friends who live in very cold areas like North Dakota, and they've got the gear for cold winters. But some of those jackets are huge, and they're not going to be great for travel because they don't pack well, right? Right material, packable form factor. I'm a big fan of having a lightweight and packable down puffer jacket. I like these because they are great for cold weather, but they also pack pretty small. The one I have is from Eddie Bauer. You can find ones just like it anywhere, but I like this one because it's lightweight enough that I didn't even mind it over a t-shirt on the plane a lot of times. If it ever got hot, it went into my bag very easily. If the place that you're headed is windy, you need the right type of jacket that will stop wind's nasty bite. And honestly, no matter what time of year it is, I think you should always have a rain jacket with you. Performance fabrics like Gore-Tex are great and will be both windproof and waterproof. The intensity of the rain jacket that you choose is really going to depend on your trip. However, I think for most situations, unless you're headed to an intensely wet place, you could do just fine with something like this. I found this jacket by Outdoor Research earlier this year, and I've done a more thorough review in other videos, but I like this one because it's a good mix of waterproof, windproof, breathable, and very packable. The material is a high density nylon. The big thing I would be on the lookout for in a rain jacket in general is taped seams. That's kind of par for the course in terms of waterproofing. How many layers does it have is another big consideration. This one has 2.5. And finally, especially for travel, packability. These are just examples. Again, there's a lot of great options out there for you. Now, if part of your trip is going to be in very cold climates, you don't want to forget the cold weather accessories. When it comes to hats, opt for something simple that packs down small. My hands get cold basically from October onward, so I always have a pair of gloves in my bag if I'm doing fall/winter travel. I really like these gloves by Tracksmith because they're touch gloves, right? They're actually running gloves. I bought them for running, but I think they're great for travel because they're very small and they can easily slide into a pocket in your bag. A lightweight scarf is great to have in your bag any time of year because it's so versatile. Allie likes to use a blanket scarf because beyond being a scarf, it can be a head or shoulder covering for modesty requirements, or even big enough to be a blanket on a train ride or flight. Really important topic is your footwear. First of all, socks. Just skip the cheap socks. Especially if you'll be doing a lot of walking, I would recommend you invest in some higher quality socks. I really like Merino for socks as well because they hold up. The shoes that you choose to bring, of course, going to vary highly depending on where you're going. Also, the activities that you plan for your trip and how casual or fancy your obligations are. My tip is to opt for versatility in your footwear. If you plan on doing much walking, you need some good daily drivers that not only complement your outfits, but are warm, comfortable, and functional. Look for shoes with functional materials that can stand up to the elements if you're headed somewhere wet or with a lot of snow. You're gonna want something that is, at minimum, water resistant. Also, pay attention to the tread on the bottom of your shoes if you're headed to places with cobblestones. They get super slippery when wet. Don't ask me how I know that. Of course, I always recommend breaking in your shoes before your trip and wearing your biggest pair on the plane to save space in your bag. But let's say you've only got portions of your trip in a cold climate, or you've got some very specific things on your itinerary, but you don't want to have to lug all the gear around with you the entire journey. Don't be afraid to get a little creative. I've heard of some travelers on long trips doing the cold weather part of their journey first, and then as they're about to transition to the warmer climate, shipping a box or a suitcase of all their cold weather gear home. Another example, on our 6-month trip, we went skiing kind of right in the middle of it. I spent a week skiing in the Bavarian Alps. Do you think I carried all the clothing that I would need for skiing with me for 6 straight months? No way, man. I rented ski pants and my helmet and all that stuff at the same place that I rented my skis and my poles. And I kind of just made do with my puffer jacket and a bunch of layers. Not the most ideal for skiing, but I got over it. It was only 6 or 7 days. And looking back, there's many things that I used to pack that I thought I needed, but I really didn't. And in this video, I break down 12 key items that experienced travelers just don't pack anymore. A couple of them might surprise you. Thanks for watching. Happy travels.